are?
Yeah.
Good. You guys are here for the coolest panel all weekend because this is the official Star Wars Club panel. My name's Casey. I'm with Down the Road Show, so you can find this panel later on our YouTube. Obviously, I love me some Star Wars, but I'm nowhere qualified in their kind of Star Wars geekdom. So let's start off and introduce yourselves and what club you represent.
Cool. I'm Max Gabriel Flores. I represent the Rebel Legion and the 501st Legion.
I'm Ingrid Moon, and mostly representing 501st Legion and a little bit Rebel Legion.
I'm Rob Yanagihara, Global Director of Saber Guild.
I'm Sal Morales, member of Saber Guild, but also a member of Rebel Legion and 501st Legion.
I'm Vic Sanchez. I'm representing the Mandalorian Mercs.
See, now that's cool. That's one of the things I love about these Star Wars clubs is you guys cross over a lot. How did you get your start in Star Wars fandom and actually making outfits and whatnot?
I just started by buying a kit and wanting to do a costume. Didn't really know anything about the clubs, and through the research and all that, found out what the clubs actually do, and it made it so much more interesting. And I have been hooked ever since. I've been a member for about 4 years of the 501st and 3 in the Rebel Legion.
Excellent. And so you started in the 501st?
Yeah, I started in the 501st Legion, and it didn't take long for me to want to do a pilot costume and do a good guy costume.
Now, 501st, I love their phrase, bad guys doing good things. What is it about that drew you into the 501st?
That's a very good question. I spent most of my teenage and adult life doing some kind of charity work, so it was a pretty easy crossover to combine my love of Star Wars, my love of all things nerdy, and this crafting hobby that this really starts to take over your life. So you really have to love that crafting hobby, and charity all at once. So it was really great opportunity to just, great way to spend weekends, etc.
So at 1977 when Star Wars came out, I was 6 years old, and I saw these incredible things called lightsabers.
Yeah.
I had grown up with a lot of martial arts, so I was already doing stuff, and so seeing a sword that lit up like that was just amazing to me. So I just kind of mixed the two. I was in a different group called LA Jedi, and Saber Guild had already been formed. There was 5 people in Orange County that were doing small lightsaber shows, and some of their people were out of town. They needed people to fill spaces, so I got asked to join for that performance, and the thrill of the performance, and then all the adrenaline, and plus seeing all the little kids like running up like, oh, I need an autograph, you were so awesome, and all this. It just like my ego went, and I was like, all right, I gotta do this like forever now. And so I started that group. The group grew drastically right after that, and now it went from 5 to 20 people within like 2 months, and now a few years later, we're 309 people across the globe. I'm the global director. I pretty much run the show. So. Yeah.
I used to do I've also have a martial arts background and stuff. I used to do a lot of stunt work, and I was doing a stunt show at a same show that Saber Guild was doing a show. Also, lifelong fan of Star Wars, and I was like, hey dude, you guys got like custom lightsabers and stuff, man. These things are sharp. Like, where do you get these at? And that's all I was interested in, but then they were like, hey, we do lightsaber shows for charity. And my wife was like, hey, I like to do charity, and I was like, I like to do Star Wars. Let's do them at the same time, peanut butter and jelly. So, we joined up with clubs, we joined with Saber Guild first, but a lot of our costumes are Jedi. Like, at the time, my wife was doing Aayla Secura, I was doing Voss. I'm kind of doing Voss now, but not really Voss, because we were doing a show. I'm not going to explain. So, we joined Rebel Legion as well, and then from there, like, we got a few more costumes, joined the 501st, like, we do a lot of the Rebels costumes, so, like, characters like that, like my whole family, we do it as a family. So we're able to do charity, and we're able to like bring our kids with us to a lot of these events and do these things as a family unit and like set a positive example, But it's just a lot of fun. You meet like really, really cool people, and you get to do some good. And you get people coming up to you being like, man, you're like the awesomest like real life Kanan, and I'm like, I know.
Mine happened at a con. I always wanted to have a Star Wars costume, but I just never really knew about the groups very much or how to get involved or do anything like that. I know I didn't just want to go to like a Halloween store and buy something. I wanted something legit. So the first con that I went to, I visited all the groups, all the booths, and I up at 501st, had Rebel Legion. I don't think Saber Guild had a booth at the moment yet, but I knew of them as well. And then I stopped by the Mercs, and yeah, they were like, hey, we're having an armor party next week. You should come. And I was like, I will be there. And I got there, and I showed up with nothing. And I had no idea how to build anything, never really used power tools or anything like that. And everybody was really welcoming, you know. As soon as I got there, they're like, hey, look, you have any questions? You need anything like this? We can help you. We can show you this, show you that. By the time I left there, I showed up with nothing. When I left with a lot of new friends and started some armor already there. So that was the beginning of me joining a costume group, and then, you know, years later now I'm here doing panels with, you know, these people that I call family now. So, and like they all mentioned, it started with just a love and passion for Star Wars, and it's grown to be so much more than that. Like the charity aspects of this is really self-fulfilling. Doing something that's bigger than yourself is yeah, there's no other feeling like it. And then, you know, we get to be Star Wars nerds at the same time, so it's great.
Everyone, defining part of what you guys do, everyone always talks about family and the kids and passing it on to a younger generation. In the panel before here that we just interrupted at the end there, Rob, Luke, who you have had many sword fights with,
Yeah.
because of doing this with you, has now taken up fencing. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so a couple of what was it, 2 years ago already, or 1 year? 1 year. So 1 year at a con, I was the Mandalorian Mercs had a table, Saber had a table right next to him, and I'm hearing noises from the side, and all of a sudden, like, somebody from the Mercs comes over and says, like, hey Rob, we need you to help. I'm like, what's going on? I thought, you know, they wanted me to lift some stuff or destroy something or whatever. And like, Kylo Ren is over here harassing us. And I was like, what? All right. So I grab my lightsaber and I go around the corner, and there's a little 6-year-old Kylo Ren there with a lightsaber. And I walked up, and he like looks at me, and he like squares off on me. I'm like, oh, okay. It's going down right now. So he like came and he wasn't really doing much moves, so I was just like doing a lot of like spinning flourishing moves around him and still connecting with his saber. So it looked like we were like really fighting. I don't know if he thought we were really fighting, but then he started doing force pushes on me because he's Kylo Ren. And the mom filmed it, and one of the Mercs filmed it, and it got put on Facebook, and all of a sudden it had like hundreds of thousands of views. Right now it's at almost 600,000 views on Facebook. So that was pretty awesome, and we're talking to the mom right now, and that fight a year ago encouraged him to not only continue with the Star Wars cosplay, because now he's Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker, plus he's also taking fencing lessons because of that experience. He just like was so like pumped by it that he got his mom to get him in fencing. So now he's been doing that for like a few months, and it's another thing they because of that they've like pulled me into like part of the family now. So they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this panel on things. Can you come and be part of the panel? Like, hey, sure, I guess, no problem. Sit down, dude. So, and then the kid, so I'm over there. As soon as I got in, the kid comes up and he drew a picture of me. He's like, this is you. And I was like, all right. So yeah, it's like, yeah, right? But yeah, it's like we do these things and it touches people so much, like they get involved too. Like it's not just a charity, but the kids see us and they get inspired and pumped. So it's really an awesome feeling.
Let's talk about the difference between the club and the costuming, because I know 501st has to follow some very strict rules to do what they do. Some of the other clubs can have a little more relaxed view on their costuming. You want to start?
So I'll start with the Rebel Legion. We're kind of strict with the rules like the 501st is, and they're not very strict. It's just basically we're following the same guidelines that Lucasfilm did. or Island did, or whoever made the costumes originally. So when a costume is made, it's basically made the same way it was made back in the 70s. And we kind of judge the costumes to make sure that they're up to par. And in some instances, our costumes are a lot better than those costumes, because those costumes were only on film for seconds at a time, and they were taped together. We're wearing our stuff sometimes for 6 hours, even though we don't want to. But our stuff has to last, and it has to be continuously beat up. So the standards can be pretty strict, but they're there to make the costume look great and what people come to see as Star Wars. A costume that looks authentic and lived in, just right off the screen.
There are two camps of people. You want it to either look right off the screen or right off the set. And so in the 501st Legion, we have very strict guidelines. We want those to look like they came right off the screen, but built like they came right off the set. But like you said, they're usually a lot better quality because they're built to last. I put probably 500 or more hours in my Stormtrooper that would never have needed to happen for the ones used in the movies. So those were, wear them for a few hours, the guy falls down, shoot that scene 25 times, things being taped back together with duct tape, and you can see it, if you look closely in the film, you can see the duct tape holding these poor guys together. You think about how uncomfortable it must be when they fall and something had to crack and they had to throw a different butt plate on them or something because, they were just being used as stunt armor. And then we build them because we aren't going to be doing all those stunts, but we want them to last a very long time. My costume is 4 years old now. I have a Captain Phasma that's currently going through what we call the CRL process, where we look at what we see on the screen and what we know of the actual build of the costume, and we analyze it to death. And I do mean to death. And Phasma's we've seen her on screen for over a year now because when the trailer came out last year, but we still don't have a CRL because we're trying to really identify those exact specifics and make sure that everybody who builds this costume builds it just like it looks in the movies, not something that you're going to buy at a Halloween store. And there are a lot of good ones at the Halloween store, but not good enough to become a member. So that's why we're very picky and particular about these things. And I know it frustrates a lot of people, but once you get it to that level, it's so beyond awesome. It's totally worth it. And then you're so proud of what you built because you built it yourself.
So Saber Guild's a little bit different. There are a lot of Jedi in the Clone Wars, but not a lot of Sith, throughout the Star Wars movies. So basically our standards are the Jedi should look like the Clone Wars, like essentially the same colors with the browns and stuff like that. Sith, our custom Sith are basically mirror images. Mirror images of the Jedi. So it's like same like a Jedi costume, except it's all black, or black and gray, black and red, and stuff like that. We have a little bit more freedom because if you look at during the Clone Wars, a lot of the Jedi, although there's similar colors and all the browns and stuff like that, they had different styles, a little different textures, a little bit different flavor for each Jedi. So it gives you a little bit of chance to personalize your character, which makes it a little bit more. A lot of people that join the club are like, well, yeah, but I want to do this. I want to have like special tabards. I want my stuff to be like longer than in the front and shorter in the back. It's like, as long as it looks legit and has like good fabrics, then it'll usually pass. But sometimes we get those people that are like, oh yeah, I got this stuff and I bought it off Etsy and it's the right colors. Like, yeah, but the fabric. Like if you look at all the Jedis in the movies, they all have like a nice texture. It might not always be the same texture, but there's some sort of texture that makes that costume stand out and look a little bit more legit. So those are the main things. So you can have a little bit of extra your own thing to it, but it has to still fit in and look like it could be a screen accurate. Like the War on Geonosis, you see all these Jedi running in. You don't get to see it. Oh yeah, that's the exact same as that one guy. So you don't have to be exactly like that. Nobody's exactly the same. So you can add a little bit of twist on your own.
But rolling out of bed and coming in the bed sheets just doesn't cut it.
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
No keys. It's we do have a little bit of a custom character kind of thing where you can basically be a dark Sith or a Jedi, but also we have a few canon characters. Like, for a show you want a canon character. So sometimes like you can have a Rey, or you can have a Rebel, a Kanan, and Ezra, or Obi-Wan, Anakin, whoever, and it's basically a Vader. You basically have almost the same standards as you would in a 501st or a Rebel Legion, but sometimes you got to work a little more functional because we're running around and hitting each other with lightsabers, and if Vader can't see, well, there's no way around that. Vader can't see. You just got to be careful when you're fighting Vader. So I don't know.
So similar to the other costume groups, the Mandalorian Mercs as well have CRLs. We have an approval team. We have an approval process. We have officers in every clan that make sure your costume is ready before you submit your pictures to be approved. The big difference, I would say, for the other groups, their costumes they have are screen accurate. Like everything to the detail, to the T, is exactly like you see in the movies. For the Mercs, I'd like to say ours is more screen quality. So we, just like Saber Guild, we have more freedom to do customs and stuff like that, but it has to be within the Star Wars universe. You can't, show up and be, oh hey, I'm a crossover between, Buzz Lightyear and a Mandalorian. Like, that's cool and all, and I like your creativity, but it's not going to be an approvable costume. Not saying we wouldn't help you. I mean, we would still help you the whole way. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. It just wouldn't be an approvable costume. So when it comes down to that, it's like everybody, the 501st and the Rebel Legion, that's the Star Wars that everybody knows and loves. But if you wanted to make something a little more personal or a little more to your liking or something more unique, Mandalorian Mercs would be a good way to go about it. Same thing with, like, you never see, throughout the Star Wars universe, you never see a Mandalorian that's the same. They all have their own different paint schemes and different styles of helmets, and even through the eras, if you played any of the video games or read any of the comics, which like expanded universe, there's early Crusaders to Neo Crusaders to Legacy kids to modern Mandalorians, and that all comes into play. And those all have CRLs, and they all have approval teams.
Now, what you were just talking about there brings up my next point, because like I'm a Star Wars nerd, but I'm only a movie nerd. Like I haven't read the books. I'm not 100% on all the Star Wars lore. What do you do with people who are like me and want to join a club and don't have every reference down and the little nuances? You guys are open arms to everyone, pretty much, right?
Yeah. We provide that. Like a lot of our groups have on our websites or Facebook pages or whatever. We have a lot of references, so people can go through and find that resource material. We'll show them where it's at. We'll tell them where it's at. So yeah, we try to help as much as possible, and we have people that are on the side helping and critiquing, telling people oh yeah, that's cool, but you need to tweak this and fix that and make this. Maybe and offer suggestions also.
Yeah, it all comes back. It all comes back to the family thing. A lot of people come up to the booth and ask questions, or they're afraid to ask questions because they don't know things. A lot of us didn't know some of this stuff. We learned it, and
All of it.
for me, bottom line, we're all nerds. Some of us know more than the other, and we help each other out. We go to somebody will tell you, if I don't know something, I'll talk to Ingrid about it, or I'll talk to Rob. We all go through each other, even through the different clubs now. We're real friendly with each other. So if I don't know anything about what they do or their costumes, and I want to know, I'm not afraid to ask, because I know they're really open, and I'm gonna get the info I want. So that's the key, is family, and we're all friends. We all know that we don't all know everything, so there's not a dumb question.
Sal knows everything.
No. I gotta ask Max about face masks and helmets and stuff. I asked him about LEDs the other day because now I've got to figure out how to make LEDs work and all things. Because guess what? Some people have armor that lights up. Sabine, you jerk. And now I have to figure out how to do that. But you're always trying to get better, and there are things that I don't know. And that's why I need you know, that there is a lot of community. And a lot of these clubs, all the clubs have like forums. So even if you don't know locally, like say you were just living in here and you've never been to a con, like I've been lucky enough to meet all these people at cons and sort of get in that way, but you sign on your forum and they're like, hey, I'm over here, and they're like, hey, I live right down the street from you and I know how to make the pistol you're looking for, the blaster, or hey, I can go to this spot, like everybody, Joann's is having a 60% off sale. Go get that fabric, you know, right now. Everybody go get that side of leather over at Tandy's. Like, so, you know, there are a lot of people that help everybody, even if you don't know any of them personally, you don't go to cons. But you guys are here at a con, so you have no excuse.
On the 501st, we have each type of costume has its own sub-department. So, for example, I'm wearing my white armor shirt, which is for all of the stormtroopers, all the different kinds of stormtroopers. Not clone troopers, they have their own detachment, and not certain other characters that wear white, like biker scouts, they have their own detachment. So there's always this huge community of people who are ready and available to help you in every possible way, including how do I get started? Where do I get that plastic stuff that you make the armor out of? Or where do I find a certain kind of fabric? Or this little greebly right here, it's not easy to find. You can't walk into a store and buy that, and it's not easy to make it just right either. So when I first started, I was very intimidated. In fact, I went 4 or 5 years before I ever decided to do a costume, because I'd heard how hard it was and how you have to build it yourself. And I even thought you had to vacuum form yourself. You don't have to do that. And it was very intimidating. And then one day, I just took a leap of faith, and I joined the White Armor group and started my Stormtrooper costume. And so amazingly helpful, it became my new family. And I've met people all around the country, all around the world, who are part of this organization, who are just dying to like meet you and have fun with you and help you get your costume ready. So it seems intimidating, especially with our strict standards, but it's really not that bad. It's really actually, we're like we've all been saying, we've become a family, and it's great here that we all our clubs do work together. So if somebody says, well, I want to make a blah 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 blah, you're like, talk to that guy, because they can help you get started with that, or talk to this guy because he knows how to make those things, or you know, whatever. I still get requests for, how do I fix the back of my shins? I need a picture, so send me a picture. Okay, well, all you need to do is this, this, and this. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. But people, you know, because you're making it to fit your own body, so everybody needs a little help in some way or another. So.
Right, and like they mentioned before, each group has the forums, and that's, if you are not a people person, or if you don't, you know, feel like you can get to an armor party or come to all the cons or anything like that, all the information you could possibly need is on those forums. All it takes is a little bit of reading, a little bit of research, and you get a good start. And that being said, you don't have to stay in one particular group. Like, I've been with the Mercs for a few years now, and I love where I am. I love this group. I love those people. But at the same time, I love all the other costumes as well. So one of my favorite costumes is a snow trooper. Now, I've loved a snow trooper for a long time, so I decided to make one. Where do I start with making a snow trooper? I have no idea. I hang out with these guys so much, and I have no idea how to start a snow trooper. So I hit up Gabe. Gabe, hey, I want a snow trooper. Within a week, he was like, yeah, I got it. I got all the pieces. You know, come get it. I'm like, all right. You know, and so it's not done yet, but it's on the way. And I was just talking to another File First member, Randy, yesterday, and he was helping me with like the boots. He's like, oh yeah, this is where you're gonna find the boots and all that. So it's just really about asking, you know, just if it's something that you're even remotely interested in, please come talk to us. We all have booths out there, and we want you.
And speaking of asking, I bet you guys have some questions. Anybody out here want to ask? Go.
What's the most common material used in a Mandalorian armor set?
It's a material called Sintra. So Sintra's a brand, but it's expanded PVC foam is what it really is. And when, I don't know why it's called expanded PVC foam, because it's not a foam at all. It's more like a hard plastic. There's 3 millimeter and there's 6 millimeter as well. If you wanted to look a little more bulky, you would use the 6. Most commonly is the 3. And basically we have patterns on our forum. Oh, yeah, Sintra. Yeah. So we have all the templates and stuff for different eras of Mandalorians on our forum. So you would just print those out from the forum, and then trace them onto that, and then you can cut them. And then Sintra, especially when you heat it up.
It's a thermoplastic?
Right. So when you heat it up, it forms to your body. Now that's much easier done with other people that know what it's supposed to look like, because obviously, I mean, the shapes have to be right and it has to be symmetrical and they have to be even. So doing that by yourself is very difficult. I've tried and it is difficult. But that's if you want to make it. There's also plenty of vendors on the forums that sell stuff, vacuum forms or metal plates or anything like that, fiberglass, anything, you know, people sculpt or people, you know, they'll make a mold and then cast them, they'll do runs and stuff like that. So if you're more into building, Sintra, if you're more into buying stuff, which is fine too, there are areas in the forums to do that.
Go ahead.
What? How did you sign into Saber Guild? Did they just like, okay, you sign in? How do you?
Yeah, it's basically no. I met, like I said, I met them at an event and it was all cool and they said, hey, come down to like practice, and like at the time I had a Voss Halloween costume because there wasn't a Voss Halloween costume, but I had like, hey, he wears all black and he's got a brown belt, so I had like my Voss Halloween costume. And that's why I was looking for custom sabers, because you can't get a Voss saber anywhere. Like you have to, everywhere you go, if you look for a green saber, it's Luke's or it's Yoda's, and that's it. That's all you can find. But after meeting with them for a few times, they were like, hey, like we know how to do armor out of leather, and I can help you with a belt, or I can help you with boots, and like pretty soon after that, like I had my whole, I mean, Voss costume is not one of the most difficult costumes. Like it's pretty easy. I already look like a dude, so it wasn't tough to get in on that. Then I wrote Legion because I found out about them, you know. So it was not hard to sign on to Saber Guild.
Yeah, we kind of already wanted him anyways. We kind of already wanted him anyways. He was at this event that we were performing at, and he was in the stunt group. They were doing like a lot of martial arts stuff and flying around and people were getting tossed all over the place. And we like that because that's, you know, it's in Star Wars, like one of the best things about the Star Wars fights, you know, in the lightsaber shows is all the moves. You see all these really, really acrobatic and agile moves and a lot of the stuff. So he was doing all that stuff and being all crazy and flippy, and I was like, yeah, we need that guy. So I specifically started talking to him like, oh yeah, you guys, hey, so what do you guys do? Yeah, really? Ah, cool. Yeah, no, we use these lightsabers, man. They're awesome. Check it out. Yeah. So I was giving him all the info and like, you know, this is what we do. And so now he's like the guy that I always fight, like in the shows, like one of my best friends. But you know, we're always like arch enemies.
And it was fun because it was like, okay, I just came from, I'm always like thug number 3, cholo number 2 that gets beat up in whatever fight. And now I get to be Quinlan Voss, Kanan Jarrus, Jedi leader, Jedi learner, Jedi something, which is a lot of fun.
Over here, bro.
A lot of you have been really hands-on in creating your costumes. And my advice, my question was, what can people do that do not have that kind of knowledge in terms of sewing or building things?
Talk to Max, he's good at all that stuff.
In other words, pay someone.
Yeah, just find somebody, and like we have our own little shop, but we help still. Like it's not all about selling to somebody. If somebody wants to try something by themselves, I'll invite them right over to the house, and I'll have people at the house, and they'll be there trying to learn how to do stuff. That's all it is.
I'll often try something first and try to figure out how I can solve the problem, because that's what I love about the craft, is solving problems. But when I'm fighting the sewing machine and I'm throwing things across the room and I'm breaking everything I touch, then I start to think about maybe I should call somebody, or get on the forums and look for somebody who sells these things, because not all the stuff is easy. So yeah, but it's always fun to try to give it a try, even if you're not good at it. I'm not good at any of this. I haven't touched a power tool before doing this stuff since middle school when shop was required. Which, did any of you even remember, did you have shop? Anyway, so back in Rob and my dark ages, middle school days. So you can always try it first and see what you can get to work for you, and if that doesn't work out, then you can, go looking for some help, or you can start off just looking for some help if you want. It's always good.
I never personally made any costume whatsoever. Like, I am not a cosplayer. I do not cosplay. I am part of this charity group, and I Star Wars. That's it. Like I've never done costuming ever. This is my first costume ever, and it took me like a year to build. but I've never, most of the tools that I use to do it, I've never touched in my life, you know what I'm saying? So that's like, I learned as I was going on how to do these and how to techniques, and I've had that kit for a while now, and I've helped people build kits, tons of them since then, all way better than mine, because every, you know, with every little thing that you do, it's like, it's a little bit different, so you gain knowledge as you go. So I mean, if I were to build another kit today, like another Mando, it would be so much better.
Kind of feel that way about Sabine armor.
Go ahead.
For someone wanting to get involved with Saber Guild but doesn't necessarily know the techniques, do you offer classes or know of any place that offers classes?
Yeah, we have several temples around the globe, and our main thing is we do lightsaber shows. But we also, people who are interested in joining, we have at our temples we have like free techniques. So we'll teach you like until you're ready to start performing and doing all that stuff. You can come to practices. It's open to everybody, and we kind of show them basic moves and then and teach them and help them grow and get better. That's one of the biggest things, because it's really important for people, because we're doing like live choreographed fights, so the moves have to be precise. So we heavily work on techniques and getting things right. You know, we have different people. Like some people like Sal here does a lot of the stuff where he's teaching people a lot of like basic movements, like, because that's one of the most important things. Like, you don't want people getting hit. Like, you know, because every once in a while somebody won't be where they're supposed to be, and then, you know, no, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, we just had a show a little while ago, and part of the fight, she got nailed in the face with my arm. So, but yeah, so that's what we practice a lot and try to work out the choreography, and we teach people that start brand new, have no skills at all. And take them up to the next level.
Yeah, you don't have to like have any kind of background or anything. Like, I have that background, so I actually usually run the classes at the Temple Prime, which is not really classes, it's basically take it on your own pace. So like, I do a stretch, I do a warm up, I basically run through my own workout and training, and you can feel free to join that or like take it at your own pace, because like, it's kind of heavy. Like, I do some like heavy like conditioning as well, because you want to like be jumping around and doing these things. You got to get your body ready for it. You can't just be like, you know, or else you pull a muscle.
Can you include that CrossFit
Yeah.
training?
That's my favorite part. When they So you know, and then I work on like poses and stances, because that's like the main thing. Like, you don't want to have like lightsaber people who are like, hold your saber. Like, you want to get away from that. You want to stand, like, look at how Darth Maul stands. Look at how Anakin stands. Look at how Vader stands. Look at how, you know what I mean? You want the fights to look dynamic. You want your characters, when you're doing it on stage, you want to look like those characters straight out of the movie, as if you came straight out of the movie. So, you know, like, that's something that, like, that's the first step, and that's something that we really try to drill at every practice. Like, think about your pose. Think about your arms and where you're swinging. Think about how you look, and does that look like a Jedi, or do you look like you have a little stick in your hands and are standing with your feet together? I'm just asking.
Do you have a specific location, or like, are you in Orange County or LA area?
I'm in LA.
Okay. So specifically, since we're all here, we have Temple Prime in Buena Park and Cypress. We meet every Tuesday. From people start getting there about 7. And we're there till about 10. On Thursday nights, we have one in Pasadena at Brookside Park, which is also open to public. So that's from 7 to 9. And yeah, we're open to whoever wants to come out and learn how to use lightsabers. Sometimes we have extras if you don't have your own. It's important to have the right kind of lightsabers. Like, people come up with the FX lightsabers, which are the ones that the Hasbros or whatever, where you turn it on and the light goes up. Those are cool, they look nice, but you can't battle with those because they're just not that sturdy. You're gonna break out your LEDs and it'll be swinging like you're swinging on a little red tiger, because you have like red, black, red, black, red. So we use these ones that have one LED and a just a clear blade. Sorry. So one LED, super bright LED out here, and then really, really bright. It goes down the blade, polycarbonate blade. So those are pretty much the first requirements is to have a combat ready lightsaber. So, but we have extras if you want to come to practice.
And there are a lot of people that come that like they don't have a costume, they don't have a lightsaber. Like they come and they buy a 3-foot PVC pipe or like something just to mess around with. They have a shinai or like dude had a hockey stick for a while. Like but you have like the interest and then I ordered my saber, I should be getting it next week, and then boom, a couple months in, now they have a saber to practice. Now they can work on getting comfortable with that because so you can come, anybody can come and train.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for the 501st and the Mercs, how much does it cost to get an approved
Which one?
costume? For
So many costumes to choose from.
well, I'm
You
talking
can
about
you
strictly
can
for the
make a Jawa for probably under $200. Vader's gonna run you $4,000 to $6,000. Maybe not quite that much. Boba Fett, definitely probably one of the most expensive ones out there. Stormtrooper, maybe. I mean, it depends if you get one from depends on your vendor, but some vendors sell very cheap armor, which is passable, but is kind of flimsy, isn't gonna last forever. And some sell more sturdy, durable armor that's gonna last longer, but it's gonna cost you a little bit more. And so it depends. You could probably get a Stormtrooper built with all the parts and accessories and a blaster and everything for about $1,500.
And time is money too. You're gonna spend a lot of time putting these together and finding everything you need to get your costumes done.
Yeah, it could take as much as a few months to a year to get all your parts, get it all assembled, etc. Some people are really quick and fast. I took 3 months to build my Stormtrooper, but I started ordering parts 3 months prior to that, so it takes a while for things to be shipped. It's all fan-made stuff. It's all made by other fans. It's not like there's a store that sells this stuff. So it's really, it sometimes takes a while for these people who are doing this as a hobby to pump out they don't have a big manufacturing plant and so on.
For the Mercs, it's such a wide range. Like I said, most of them are custom. The canon ones, your Bobas, your Jangos, and stuff like that are going to be way more expensive, like she was saying. Our standards for those are just the same as the 501st. So if you get approved in either club, it's the same requirements pretty much. Those are really, really expensive. But for the custom ones, it really depends how far you want to go and how much you want to do. Most people will start with a simple build, just like a light armor type thing, because there's different. You can have light armor, which is just like basic requirements, and then you can have heavy armor, which is you start adding things, your shins and your thighs and your jetpacks, all the stuff that's not necessary to be approved. But you can go anywhere from $300 to $400 up to like over $1,000. Just keep adding stuff. Even on mine, I never really sure it's approved, but I still add stuff. I'm like, oh, those gauntlets looks cool, or let me do that, or let me install some LEDs here. Well, yeah, I already have a helmet, but this other helmet's cool too. And
Which one? That enemy props helmet?
Oh. So it really just depends on how far you want to go and how much you want to do. I mean, of course, you want it to look cool, and there's like you can see from the quality of the costume, from the new approvals that are kind of basic to like, oh man, he's been doing this a while, People will upgrade they'll start with Sintra and then they'll upgrade to metal plates or whatever it is. So it really just depends on you price wise.
Go ahead, ma'am.
With the commitment to authenticity that you guys all display, have you ever been approached by Lucasfilm to be a part of the films or do anything with that?
There's basically we're all sort of unofficial, official, Lucas approved or whatever the official verbiage is. I should probably know it.
Licensed and approved by Lucasfilms.
I can tell you. Sorry, I'm leaning all over you here. As a Stormtrooper, I've been hired out to do commercials and a few other things. They're not necessarily like 501st Club. They're separate, but they basically come to our clubs as their first go-to, rather than having to have a company build a whole bunch of costumes to use for 2 days and hire a bunch of actors. They know we're all ready to go. and totally want to do it. So they come to us first a lot of times, and sometimes not. So it depends, but it has happened.
Go ahead, sir.
I guess this is for Rob more, but what if you want to play your favorite Jedi, like a Kit Fisto or a Plo Koon, where you have all the makeup, and the head. How do you handle that?
So people that want there's people all over, like, not necessarily Etsy, but there's prop forums where people make those things. We approve that. Like she had a Ayla Sakura, and she had the head tail, so she was a Twi'lek with the Leku and stuff like that. And there's people that make really, really good stuff. So we have those resources. We can tell you, we can send you to the right places to get the right stuff. We have a couple of people that make things also. So we'll find Max and be like, hey. Yeah. One of the good things is because we're all using like a lot of the canon characters or something like that, or like similar. They might have somebody that they know that makes a certain character. That we can contact them and be like, hey, I need somebody that makes a Kit Fisto mask, but not the Halloween store one, because those just aren't the ones. There's a guy I'm actually looking at getting a Plo Koon mask, which is really, 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 really detailed. And I found a guy online that makes them out of like a nice latex stuff. And he does the mask and the hands for $300. So, I was like, oh, I need that. Yeah. So there's people that make they don't always make them multiple sizes. Like the Kit Fisto that I want, or the Plo Koon that I want is made for a grown up. So like, your flash here it probably wouldn't fit the same.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's possible that there are people that make other sizes out there. I just haven't researched it, but like some of that stuff, we can find it. We just keep looking, or find somebody that modified something to make it work. Yeah, definitely possible.
And then once you find it, like as far as Saber Guild goes, it's just a matter of like practicing it and getting comfortable in it. Like Vader, like you're gonna have a little bit of restrictions. Like she had to be really careful when she's doing spins and stuff. Like she had to get comfortable in fighting with her Leku, because like you got these things over your ears and you can't hear so well. So you gotta remember, they're coming on the left because I can't hear them go ha. Like you gotta. So like little things like that is just like you gotta work with you gotta practice in your stuff.
I was wondering, because you do like traditional canon costumes, but like smugglers, they don't have a set of clothing. What do you do for choosing people like, oh, that's a good smuggler outfit, or that's good enough for our quality?
If it's for 501st, at least, if it's not a character on a screen, it's not going to fly. So you could make your own smuggler outfit and look awesome, but it won't get you to be approved. But if you did do, I'm trying to think of some of the names of the smugglers. So these guys, you could, if you're doing a really awesome job at that, and there's a CRL for it, it can totally get approved, and you can't like have your own custom smuggler.
There's a new group that just got their LFL recognition. I think it's called Scum and Villainy. And they're doing like bounty hunters, aliens, underworld, scum, canon to the Star Wars universe, rebels, imperials, and customs. They don't allow. So rebels, imperials, and customs can't even go. So I think you'd probably fall into that. If you're trying to do a smuggler, you'd probably be part of the Scum and Villainy, because those guys are scum.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it's new. I just started seeing them post on things, and they got the LFL recognition. They're not
Jedi,
top notch.
Mandalorian, but who wants to be a Han Solo?
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you were just saying that group there. So it can be off characters, like just in books? Because there's a character, his name is Cookie, and he's an alien. And I just thought he was really cool. I want to do him, but there's nothing.
He's on screen.
Yeah, if he's on screen, he fits into somebody's group, I'm sure. They might not have standards for him yet.
I think
but
a lot of
Comic books too, and book legends.
A lot of the like inhabitants are qualified for 501st and Rebel Legion, right? Like Tusken Raiders are both.
Yes.
And like this probably would be both because it's just a character in like Maz Kanata's castle. You know, so
In our kitchen.
yeah,
Be the first.
pretty cool.
Yeah, be the first one. That's always
It'll
awesome.
take you forever to get a CRL approved, but hey,
You'll be 18.
Someone's gotta be
You'll
first.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. Is somebody has to start that process.
Go ahead, Flash.
Dr. Max.
Flash, you got a question, Flash?
Sorry, I forgot my question.
Okay, over here.
What has been your biggest charity moment?
Ooh.
He set
You
you
guys wanna start with that
up.
one?
He set you up.
Yeah, right.
Almost feel like
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I guess mine will be, and I'll try to be quick because I think we're running out of time. It's always the same one for me when I was just starting. One of our members has a tattoo shop, and he collected gifts every year to give out to people who didn't normally get gifts. Well, one year, they actually got in touch with a local church, and they wrapped the gifts. They had a bunch of us dressed up, and we were pulled in a sleigh by horses with Santa and took him out in the middle of the night in Norco to hand out gifts. And it was already kind of touchy, heartfelt thing to do. But we wound up going to a lot of houses that didn't have power in the middle of the night. A lot of little kids running around, parents crying because their kids were not going to get gifts, but we were there. So that's one of my things I always remember. It keeps me pushing and doing what we do because this is what we do. We do charity. We give back so much, and so I remember that moment a lot.
There's many moments of crying and laughing and enjoying oneself with children, but one that stands out is there was a little girl with, I think she had cystic fibrosis. I can never remember exactly, but the charity was raising funds for this. And she was there, and her parents were there, but she didn't look very happy, and she was just kind of hanging out, and she's like, whatever, Star Wars people. And I went up to her, and I said, hey, I'm a redhead girl, too. And somehow she lit up, and, that made her day. And then that made my day, so.
My biggest one, it's like one of those things that there's so many. My favorite one was Make-A-Wish contacted us one time because there was a young boy that had some health issues, and he wanted to be a Jedi and defeat Darth Vader. And that was one of the most incredible events. We went and we did a training session with him. I'm getting all soggy just thinking about it. So he wanted to be a Jedi. So the first day we did a Jedi training with him, and we had this long conversation. We showed him how to use a lightsaber. One of the places that we buy our lightsabers from donated some sabers. Somebody else in the group made some costumes and gave to him and his brother. She's crying too. And so we did a Jedi training with him and talked to him about the Force and all that stuff like that. And one of the big, he's like, well, what happens if you die? And we told him how you become one with the Force. And he's like, oh yeah. And he was just he was so we all connected so hard on that. Take that, finish that.
Yeah, we were there and we were teaching him, and it was a big room that we were able to get access to this place that just looked like legit Jedi. It's like an Oakley factory in Tustin or something weird, but it just looked so awesome. And he came in with his brother in a limo, and there was Rebel Legion there, and it was all good guys. So they brought him in, and then we're there, and we're all the Jedi, and we're training, and we are doing a little show, not even a show, but a form. Then he comes in, and we started teaching him. We were training him and his brother with stances and Force pushes and things. And we were talking to them about the Force, and hey man, nobody once said, strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. So don't even worry, And then that's it, right? He gets his saber and he gets his thing and he goes home. And what he didn't know was a week later, they brought his parents to a gala, a Make-A-Wish gala party, and the rest of his wish happened there because the Jedi bust into his room and they get his costumes and they're like, yo, we need you. And downstairs in the gala, Vader and troopers and Django, they all bust in and take over the gala. Then we Jedi come out with him and defeat them one by one, and then it's a little show, and then he's the one who helps us Force push and defeat Vader, and then he gets knighted at the end of that ceremony. So it was really, that's one of my favorite events too. There was also another one that we've done. It was a real small event for a little girl named Shay, who had she had brain cancer, and it was a couple. They only had a few people there. It was like 10 people, and we went because they wanted my wife and my daughter, because they were like, let's bring girls, like let's bring a lot of girls. So like we had a Padme, we had a lot of Jedi. My wife was Ayla Secura, like there was some girl X-wing pilots and stuff, some girl Mandos. And we just went out there and we were just literally at her house, and we all just came and gave her some gifts. And then also like some people who weren't attending sent gifts, so like there was other gifts, and one of the Mandos had built her a little tiny custom set of Mando armor, you know, and that was like one of my favorite events. It was really, really cool. She passed away a few weeks later, but they started a charity in her name. It's called Shay Strong. So if you guys, you know, they send care packages to kids that are suffering from these diseases, you know. So that's something that, you know, I always remember too.
Heavy. Got heavy in here.
Yeah, those Make-A-Wish ones are always bittersweet. I mean, I don't think I can tell it's been Make-A-Wish one right now. I'm just gonna, all the clubs here, we participate in an event every year in Pasadena at the Hillsides Orphanage. And basically we're all dressed up. There's a ton of us. There's always a lot of us that go to that one, and we show up to bring a smile or any kind of joy to those kids that are less fortunate or stuck in a bad situation. Just, you know, try to brighten their days. So last year, we usually do that once a year. Last year was the first year that they invited us back for a second time later in the year, and we got to go during Christmas time. So every one of us that showed up in costume, we all bought a present, a Star Wars toy for kids. So when we showed up, all of us had presents for the kids. So every single child at that facility that day got a Christmas present. So not only were we able to be there and brighten their days and one of, you know, our favorite troops, but at the same time we gave gifts to those that were not going to be getting any. And it's things like that and the smiles on those kids' faces and that really, really make things this worth it. Like I mentioned before, we are first, you know, we're all here for Star Wars, but at the end of the day, we're not a cosplay group. We are a charity group, all of us. We are first and foremost charity groups, and this is why we do it. I mean, for whatever reason that you decide to join, those are your reasons, but this is what we are, this is what we do. If any of you guys would like to join any of our groups, please let us know. We're here, we have the rest of the information. There's no goal that's unobtainable if you put your mind to it. Thank you.
Wow. And end on a better note, obviously, if you want to get involved, talk to them. This panel is ending right now. Thank you to all the representatives, all the different Star Wars clubs. Get involved. It'll change you. You can help change other people's lives. And watch us later on down the road show. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.